Yeah, we're
Marcus will just call the meeting to order now.
all right. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6:04 p.m. I'd like to announce that this meeting is being recorded. May I have a roll call?
Director Aguilar.
Here.
Director Fu.
Here. Before we begin, we would like to acknowledge the Chumash people who are the traditional custodians of this land. We pay our respects to the Chumash elders, past, present, and future, who call this place Anascoya, the land that Isla Vista sits upon, their home. We are proud to continue the tradition of coming together and growing as a community. We thank the Chumash community for their stewardship and support, and we look forward to strengthening our ties as we continue our relationship of mutual respect and understanding. Hold on real quick. I just realized I can turn on my video because then otherwise we're just looking at nothing. So if only I could zoom out the camera, but it'll be like this.
The next model of Mac.
Yeah. At this time, I'd like to move to the public comment period. Any member of the public may speak on matters within the subject matter jurisdiction of the parking committee that are not on the agenda. The committee will not take action on any item not in the agenda except as provided by law. Is there any public comment at this time?
Going on soon.
I see no public comment, so I will move on to our discussion action items. We have item 3.1, our parking study update.
All right, I will go ahead and share my screen. Oh, can someone enable it?
Oh, yes. Give me one. I'm just going to make you the host.
Okay, thank you.
Do that one. Okay, you should be good to go.
Perfect. All right. I just have a very brief update today. I know things are probably crazy with Deltopia going on, so I'll run through this. So in terms of our updates, we're pretty much wrapped up with our initial round of stakeholder engagement, and I'll talk more about what's to come soon. As you all know, we completed our drafts of the existing conditions and parking needs assessment reports, and we are in progress incorporating all the feedback that we've received so far. And then we actually are excited that we completed a full year of parking data collection. So the annual study wrapped up in March. The last 2 dates were the 12th and the 16th. And I have the results to show you from March here, which on average for all the data collection times and days in March, it was 100% occupied, with some block faces going above 100, others below. But that's the study area average. And then you can see over on the right at 5 a.m. is where we noted the peak. So it was 107%. It dipped down to 93% at 11 a.m. and then went back up to 102% at 8 p.m. So still quite a bit of congestion here in March.
Emily, do you know off the top of your head what DP was during this time?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I can get that to you.
Oh, I know we can go on the dashboard.
Yeah. In terms of next steps, we will be finalizing the initial reports, so the existing conditions and needs assessment. I know there are some intercept surveys going on that Maya and team have been leading. They've been able to speak to a few beachgoers, and they're doing more intercept surveying, so that'll be slotted into those into one of the reports as well, the results from that. And we're beginning to draft, just at a high level, some of the potential strategies that we want to recommend based off of all of the findings and feedback so far, with the goal of floating those by the steering committee first on April 11th. So that's coming up. And then we plan to present the draft recommendations in our next round of community meetings, which will be in May. So we're scheduled to be on site May 15th and 16th, and we'll be announcing the specific meeting times as they're confirmed. It'll be a mix of focus group meetings and then like a bigger town hall. And then we'll be taking in that feedback. And then our final deliverable will be the final step, which is the parking action plan. And then I just have our contact information here. So for those of you listening in, you can contact us at iv@dixonresourcesunlimited.com. And then there's also this project website as well.
Emily, could you do me a favor? I was going to do it if I had my computer today, but could you share screen the intercept survey example we have.
The intercept survey example,
Maya had sent it to us this morning.
the photo that Maya shared?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Let me just pull that up here.
Oh,
Okay.
what I was trying to open as we, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so what I'm going to share here is just an example of one of the intercept survey findings. So Maya's team put together this great photo that basically shows where the parked cars of the parked cars on this street, who was interviewed and where they were going, basically.
So one of them, the blue car in front of SOS is a UCSB student. They just parked in the 15-minute spot to make a quick stop at the store. The City College student who lives at the Loop just parked there as they're parking to go home. And then the maintenance workers parked in the red because they were unsure what to from was. I think that's one of the questions in our survey.
Interesting.
One thing that I just realized, I don't think that we studied, but maybe we did. And so maybe for all I know, we've got great data on this, but is the extent to which the 15-minute spots are actually used for anywhere close to 15 minutes, which I bring up because last night I was driving back from Carpinteria and I went to the 7-Eleven and I thought, well, I'll just park right in front of it. There's all these 15-minute spots. Well, maybe they're not 15-minute at night. They're not 15-minute.
I don't think they are.
That explains it. Okay, I was like, and it's like there's no parking at all. So
Yeah. At night,
There is none at all.
I think it stops.
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
know when I think it's at 7 p.m. I don't
Okay,
know.
well but that's so my anecdata of like, I don't know, these all the 15-minute spots are clearly used all night. That's not even a problem.
Yeah.
But I am curious, but like it might be like during the day, we still might,
Well,
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
How would you know?
I mean, we do
I mean,
know.
it
Did we
doesn't
do-
get
well,
We
enforced.
do know. I think we know at least if they were parked there at 5 and then still parked there. At
Oh,
11.
that's a good point. At
And
least
then
if
still
we know
parked
that
there
they were
at
there
8.
parked there for like 4 or 5 hours, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
So we know the violations of 15 minutes. So
but nobody actually gets ticketed.
no, there's no parking enforcement right now in Ivy. So Emily, is that something? I think I'm trying to remember if that was discussed in one of the reports, but is that something we can have mentioned, just like an example? Doesn't have to be for the whole 12-month period, but
Yeah, so I'm just thinking about how we would do that. I know we could probably look at one of the block faces, for example, that where we know there are a lot of 15-minute spaces and look at the trends for that block face to see if the same cars were observed in the morning and then again in the midday. We could assume that they probably didn't move if they're on that same block face. And so, yeah, we basically did some sampling for that, but we don't typically get as granular as like the individual parking space. It's more like block face based because it's just limitations with GPS, but we could do a bit of digging just to do some spot checking on that. I think it would be interesting to see, but I think your hunch is probably correct that the compliance is probably low, given that there's not consistent enforcement.
What it's worth, I do think that they line up pretty well with blocks, because it's like the spots on per dollar, 15 minutes, and the spots in the southeast corner of Barcadero.
yeah, like SOS where this intercept survey was, I think it's all 15 minutes in front of SOS.
Okay, so yeah, we can definitely look at those areas then and do a bit of a spot check just for the days where we had some data collected to see round 1 versus round 2 if the same cars were there.
There any other board questions then? Do you have any?
I just wanted to say one thing we talked about today in our check-in meeting with Emily and team is we're gonna start converging the mobility plan efforts with the parking study efforts. So the town hall and the focus groups, we're gonna discuss mobility prioritization and parking draft recommendations together, since they're on a similar timeline now and they are kind of interchangeable, like you mentioned. So that is where we're going. That's a new update.
That's great. Yeah. It's great.
And we got 60 beach survey responses. That was the one intercept survey that's been done so far. The team energy went towards, Deltopia,
Of course.
but after this weekend, we
Where
will
was it
shift
on
back.
DP?
The beach surveys, we did, I don't want to misquote. I know we did Sands. And we did the El Embarcadero Beach access point, and then we did one of the ones. I think at Rodapel, near Rodapel Park. But we did like spread out over that whole period. And we did morning, midday, and sunset
This week or today?
over in March.
In March.
So over many
Got
weeks
it,
in
got it.
March.
I know we're gonna continue doing the beach surveys, or that's the conclusion of our beach
I think we're
surveys?
done with beach
Okay.
surveys unless you guys think we need to do more, but we were out there for a few weeks every day for those periods, but now we want to do intercept surveys more focused.
Got it. Yeah, I feel like the intercept survey will get to the same questions that I would be interested in.
Yeah, we're gonna mainly do intercept surveys on like the blocks near UCSB, but we will do them in other areas as well, but
Yeah.
we're gonna mainly do it at the UCSB eastern edge.
Got it. Cool.
What does that mean?
Like, Seville 6-5.
I mean, does it mean you stop and talk to them?
Oh, yeah,
You intercept them?
yeah, we do. We go up to them and we ask them like, we would take notes of like, this was at 9 AM on Friday. And we will ask somebody like, where did you come from? Why are you parking here? Where are you going? And that's how we had that picture where it said the SBCC student came back from class and parked in the 15-minute zone to just go back to their apartment at the loop. And the UCSB student drove from across IV, stopped in front of SOS to get us something at the store, and then they kept going somewhere else. We don't know. So we get that kind of information.
So the first interaction was a full, like 3 very different uses of the same kind of parking spot,
Yeah.
which is, you couldn't plan it like that.
Yeah, we
Couldn't
have planned it better.
So you know it's gonna happen like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I'll ask if there's any public comments or questions on this report, this update we were given today.
Yeah.
All right, I don't see any of those. Is there any further board comment on this item? All right, I'll say thank you, Emily and Dixon team, for that report. We'll move on to our future meeting dates, and I'll announce that the next meeting of the parking committee will be Tuesday, May 7th on Zoom and at the community room right here, 970 Embarcadero Del Mar, Isla Vista, California. And with that, I will adjourn this meeting.
Thank you.
Oh, dear. In a month, it's gonna be May.
Thank you.
I got problems.
Hey.
Thank you.
Wow.